Prada Baroque collection. 2012, 2013, 2021. Hello beautiful people, it's Gracie Opulanza and today's episode is personal. It was 2021, I was walking the streets of, not London, it wasn't 2021, it was 2012, ironically. 2012, I was walking the streets of London. This was Prada's first ever oversize Iris Apfel inspiration Baroque collection. And I was walking the streets of London in a pair of bold Prada Baroque. Originally, these were sunglasses. And when I bought them, I thought, no, I want to turn them into clear prescription and look like Iris Apfel. The attention in London, in fact, from the moment I landed, strangers stopped me literally. People stared. I had a woman knocking on the window in central London, complimenting me about these. And this is the moment that sparked something in me. The birth of GracieOpulanza.com. It's how I started my blog. My very first article was about these eyewear. Nostalgia. But here's the twist. Though the original 2012 Baroque sunglasses, as I said, I converted to clear lenses. And then in 2021, I saw these in Venice during the pandemic and I thought, let me get them. But before that, these are the sunglasses. They're wooden frames. Baroque pair, fantastic as well. Quality's great. And I get a lot of compliments for these as well. And I've seen knockoffs as well of these. So let's talk about the real deal in terms of quality. 2021, Prada, 2012, 10 years apart. What happened to the hardware, the lenses? What happened to the soul of Prada? And these were really hard to get your hands on as well. In fact, these I don't wear anymore. These are my museum piece. These are my nostalgia. And I have worn them so much, many times, doing car reviews. All right. The masterpiece of motion. Let's start where it all began, 2012. The original Prada Baroque sunglasses were revolutionary. They were. What I loved about it was the dramatic swirling arms, thick sculptured acetate curves like a Botticelli painting. It was eyewear as statement, not as success accessory. This is why these are statement pieces. These are who I am. Look, even God's thundering that comment. They were made in Italy and I could feel it. The acetate was dense, luxurious to the touch. The metal details, now there's no metal on this, but there is here. But the hardware, the hinges were smooth but firm. The lenses, well, I've changed the lenses, so I can't remember what they were. But they were durable and protective. It just wasn't a tint slapped on plastic like the 2021. This is just tint slapped on very cheap hardware. They felt and they still feel that I'm wearing a sculpture. These are very sentimental to me. These have made me who I am in Gracie Opulanza. These made me money. These made me menstylefashion.com. It's incredible. These got me collaborations. Okay, let's go to 2021. Well, the wooden ones, I've worn them to death as well. Same Baroque arm, and the hardware's the same. What I mean by the hardware is the screws. Yep, and I've travelled the world with these, swam in these. So, and they still look fantastic, right? Let's go to 2021, which I've hardly worn. Bought the new Prada Baroque in Venice, where every boutique oozes luxury. Well, not every, but the packaging, I love the packaging. The packaging of the Baroque hasn't changed. I really, really love this. Yeah. And just having my early morning coffee. So that hasn't changed. But the letdown is I didn't have these in Venice, and I thought I'm going to go for these. And it was, again, a chain that was selling the eyewear. But when I picked them up, I thought, ooh. And I live in Asia. I know dupe fashion well. I know fakes really well. And this got me thinking, but I loved the design. They looked like the original, but once I wore them, I noticed the cracks, literally. The lenses are lighter, almost weightless, and not in a good way. They don't feel like they offer proper UV protection. They're not a nice UV lens. The plastic is lighter, almost weightless, and not in a good way. They don't feel like they offer... the plastic is thinner, more brittle. It's not the same acetate. It's not the same as this. Well, it certainly doesn't feel like it on my face. And it's just a cheaper version. And the metal on the frame, it's a dupe. Well, they feel exactly like the dupe I have in Asia. And I've seen plenty of replica materials. The metal would fit right in at Bangkok Fashion Mall, where you can buy fakes. And I know them. And I promise you I'm going to take these next time in Asia, and we're going to compare these to fake. Now, I've hardly worn them. It's called Minimal Baroque. I tell you why I haven't hardly worn them, because I just feel incredibly fragile. This is, yeah. And I wonder, because in Italy, manufacturing is strong. I wonder if they're even made here. Let's talk business. Who actually makes Prada eyewear? And why does that matter? Oh, no. You can have a listen to my 2 podcasts and on my YouTube. It's the same company, Luxottica. Formerly owned by Italy, but now that giant again. And I can tell Luxottica material from here to Asia and back can be made in Brazil and China. It's coming out of the same factory, the same materials. And that's why this feels cheaper than 2012. So, yes, that giant again. Prada eyewear is produced under license by Luxottica, the same company behind Ray-Ban, Versace, Gucci, and dozens other designer labels. You can look at that on gracieopulanza.com. So while the Prada designs the aesthetic, Luxottica controls the materials, the manufacturing, and the quality. And where do you think it's going to be made? 100% in Italy? No way. And with mass production comes compromise. And boy, have they compromised. Back in 2012, the Baroque felt bespoke. In 21, the same design. It felt like it had been watered down, mass released for volume, not to last. I'm paying the Prada prices for mass manufacturing material. Made in Italy? Technically, yes, but let's be honest, not all made in Italy is equal. This, as I said, I live in Asia. I see these all the time in the dupe, in the fake malls of Bangkok. Fashion mall, I've been there. And as I said, I promise you, these are coming with me, and same with those glitter Gucci, I've talked about it. And we're going to compare it with the real, with the fake. I live in Asia and Vietnam and Bangkok and China. I know a knockoff when I see it. And the knockoffs of today are just as equal quality as this, minus the price. I'll be able to pick this up in Asia for about €30, fake, opposed to €350. I've seen what a replica looks like. I've seen eyewear with suspiciously shiny gold trim screws that rust after a month and hinges that pop after a light fall. When I wore the 2021 Baroque sunglasses recently again, the gold trim, it's shiny, but the frame flexed weirdly, hinges are loosened. I've seen better hardware in unbranded Thai market finds, or even in the brand NAU Milan here. The brands that are not known but 100% made in Italy, you're better off just buying them. I know, I've been wearing eyewear for 45 years. Even in Europe, I'm visiting eyewear specialists who sell Prada, Gucci, and I look at them and I raise my eyebrows and they raise their eyebrows at me. And they said, they're beautiful, but they won't last. Because we've got this camaraderie. They know who I am when I walk into the shops. Don't worry, I'm going to show you some brilliant eyewear. Let's be real, in 2021, Baroque sunglasses, even in 2025, they look amazing. They're a statement piece. They're fashion. They will still turn heads, and they still carry the Prada presence. But once I wear them over and over, I know the difference. And that messes with my mindset, with my driving, with my supporting 100% made in Italy. That, 2012, is wearable art. This is history. This is my museum piece. My Leonardo da Vinci. This is Instagram eyewear. I'm going to Asia, I'm going to take them with you, and I bet if I swapped them from the dupe to the real, you couldn't tell the difference. There's a place for both, but this shouldn't cost over €300. Wake up, we're being scammed. This is Prada, but compromised. Remember? Lookalike owns Prada. So what do I recommend? As I said in my many podcasts and on my YouTube, buy vintage if you want quality. Go back before Lookalike was bought from Italy. Go vintage. It's up to you. It's a personal thing. Any new sunglasses, NAU, Milan brand, or brands in Italy that you've never heard of, you'll get better hardware, better quality. But it won't say Gucci or Prada, Versace. Don't trust the Prada brand when it comes to eyewear. You're paying for marketing, not quality guarantee. These will cost them probably €5 to make. And if you're in Asia or Italy, visit the vintage markets. I've got them on my YouTube and on my podcast. Arezzo, Lucca. Just hunt. The hunting are the gems. Have a look at what I've talked about, my Gucci ones. The future eyewear isn't glitter, it's craftsmanship. And as I said, I want to feel quality on my face. Its weight, its durability. It feels like the person who made it for me When I wear those Gucci 60-year-old eyewear, it brings me so much joy. It represents my soul. Something to be treasured, loved, not just worn for a TikTok selfie. So yes, if it was a pair of Prada Baroque sunglasses in 21 that helped me launch, it was these that helped me launch. It was these that I launched Gracie Opulanza in 2012, and then men's style fashion as well. These are history. They're museum pieces. They like the Hermes bag that sold for millions. They're real. They're original. They're a masterpiece. They represent my soul, my personality, and they've made me a lot of money. Because when it comes to fashion, especially eyewear, what you don't see now in 2025 is what they represent. It's what I do. And quality, I can feel it with my eyes closed. I can feel it with my hands. This is Gracie Opulanza, reminding you to wear your sunglasses boldly. But know that you're putting, and what you're putting on your face, these are your eyes. These are nasty lenses. They'll damage your eyes. Until next time, love what you heard? Share the episode. Tag me on TikTok, Instagram at Gracie Opulanza. Head to gracieopulanza.com, vintagestyleclothing.com for photos, side-by-side comparisons, and full guide on how to spot quality eyewear in 2025. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your standards higher. Grazie mille. Pia. You see that? Tuscany, without the compromise.